And the last couple of months I have getting all kinds of new products. And I must say that one of the products that still really intrigued me was this 2-player arcade machine I got from Iyo Gaming. The reason why is because this product did have a lot of good things to it. It was not like this huge Bartop you can maybe pick up around the corner from a reseller. What I found really intriguing, but I was also surprised that this thing came as a DIY kit. I was expecting to get something out of the box, but you need to do a little bit of screwing some parts together. It's not the same stuff that we've seen with the Picade. This is a product that you're just going to get, and there are a couple of parts that you're going to need to assemble. It comes with your typical family board, so it's going to be even possible to upgrade so far I can see, removing some plastics and you're ready to go. One of the things I didn't really like was the Arcade of Iyo marquee. This thing makes no sense and there were some scratches on the plastic itself. So the overall quality, I was a little bit disappointed when it comes to the overall quality. But what I did like was the display they're using in this. We do have like a very small border and that looks absolutely amazing. When you're just playing in front of it, the size is way smaller than my typical bar top, but this display is fitting perfectly in the machine and this looks amazing. Another thing that's a little bit of a bummer is that we're going to get ourselves like a 6-button layout that is squeezed back to each other. And that is the thing that I mentioned. This thing is smaller, so they had limited space for the overall controls. The quality of the buttons are quite nice, they're a little bit wiggly and a long travel, the cheap China buttons, but let's talk about later on more about that.
Ooh, it's the time for one massive package from China. Let's go!
The product itself is made out of metal, and that is quite interesting to be honest. Simply because when you're looking at the previous models I've reviewed, most of them were made out of like wood. So the way they construct this is just a method to create a cheaper product. That's actually what it is. Inside we're going to get ourselves the HDMI cable, then we're going to get ourselves a lithium battery charger. It's kind of weird that using 12.6 volts. Why not a typical 12 volt power supply, but it will do the job without any problem. European plug, some coins because this thing has a mechanism in the inside and some spare buttons and a screwdriver. What you're going to get are basically two shells. We're going to get the back box with the monitor and the marquee, everything attached, and the bottom part. It's a very short part, it's just basically the control panel where everything has been assembled. Two speakers at the top over there, an on-off switch and every single button that we need for navigating through the menu of the monitor itself. And that's it, you need to connect the cables and that's the only thing that we need to do. Super easy peasy, lemon squeezy. And of course when done that, we need to apply both of the side panels. But another thing I just wanted to show you is the control panel. You can just open it up and replace the buttons and the joystick, and without any problem you can just remove them and replace them fairly easy. They're using the old school cable 3 that we got with those Pandora's boxes. So removing this is super easy. You can just basically remove the main board and just like plug out the on-off switch and the speakers, and that's it. You're just done and you can replace the main board fairly easy. So if you want to upgrade this machine to, let's say, in Pandora's Box 10th edition, you can do that without any hassle. And that is the thing, I really love it. And there is no like weird stuff going on when it comes to the connectors. And also the housing is all the same with the previous models. If you want to keep the case, you can do that. You can just remove the main board itself. I've noticed that this is old stock and I can see it with this mainboard. The later revisions of the mainboards are sometimes even smaller, have different coolers or no active cooler at all. Doesn't matter, for now we can just upgrade with Pandora tool if you want to, and I think it's pretty damn cool.
And let's take a close look in here. So what I find quite fascinating that you do have some options for an HDMI connectivity, and the reason why what I understand of is like they have the option to basically like plug in an external device and use it like that. So that's probably quite interesting. Then we're going to get ourselves the converter in here that converts to the right voltage that goes to the mainboard of the PCB, or the PCB of mainboard for the monitor itself. Then we're going to get ourselves the coil mechanism over here. And then do we have the option, I will get the key and basically we can get into this compartment. So this is basically the thing that we're going to get in the back. So let's close up with the piece of metal that we're going to get over here. And let's close it up. Okay, so let's take a close look at the controls. They only came with, this thing came with one key. So far I can see. Yeah, it was only one key and a lot of coins. Freaking cheapskates. Over here we're going to get the start button for player 1. Then we're going to get a start button for player 2, of course, and both have the option for having coin. And this is, as I'm saying it like correctly, the return button or the pause for getting into the main menu. Another weird problem I'm having with these Pandora games 3D is like the save functionality doesn't work with every single main game. It does work with Blood Blast, that's pretty damn awesome. Let's try some Blood Blast because I just want to see how good it actually is. Oh freaking hell, I just closed it! Brain fart! Combat 1, of course. Time for you, Sabi Wabi. But what I do like about this Pandora Game 3D board, they have the option to play this game, because this is like a couple of boards that do have the option to play Mortal Kombat 1, because they're just having like enough juice when it comes to the performance. Okay, so let's start with PlayStation Portable. So PlayStation Portable is not running optimal. You can already hear like it's stuttering, it's like running on frame skip, absolutely. But the games that are on here do have some interesting options. For example, the 2-player mode, you press player 2 and it starts into a weird emulated versus mode. Pretty damn cool. But some of the games, even despite they're running on not, let's say, the best performance, they're still playable. Okay, so when it comes to some systems like N64, always N64, that will have problems. Yeah, but there are some games that are playable. So that is pretty damn cool. But I think it's just more like a mixed feeling when it comes to N64 in general. And this is one of the great examples that the game that actually works very well. But when you're looking at saying Cruise USA, Color Staying, they all still have like the same issues whatsoever. This game impression I'm having with the device, that is a very compact, let's say, arcade machine. And I mean by compact because this thing doesn't have like a huge screen, but when you're looking at the size or the comparison with a normal Pandora's box, you're going to get really squeezed together because there's not a lot of space between player 1 and player 2. I wouldn't say that's going to be like a big of an issue, but beside that point, yeah, that's something I just need to point out. Another thing I do like about this arcade machine, that we're going to get a very nice panel. It's not an IPS panel, but it does have a very good viewing angle. But how does it work with the coin mechanism? It's kind of weird if you ask me. So this device has been made for basically use for normal, like free play, but also with this coin button that makes the function of the coin mechanism at the side a little bit pointless. And why pointless, you ask? It's very simple. Because when you're pressing the button, you're going to enter a credit. That's it. Like, it's still on free play at the moment. Of course, here I want to show you that the coin mechanism does work. See, here I have the same plopping sound. But you need to disable the button internally, otherwise people can just add a credit this way. But let's take a close look at the menu for the people who have never seen a Pandora game 3D. In my opinion, it's one of the best interfaces when it comes to, let's say, menu designs. And why is that? It is quite simple, my friends. Because here we're going to get the all list, and no, the all list is not the best thing. So let's press the start button. Here we're going to get categories. So here you can see that you can play a lot of different kind of style of games. Think about 8-bit, 16-bit, Game Boys, like Mega Drive, 16-bit. A lot of great stuff you can play with it, add games to it. And if you are lucky, you can even add some Pandora to it and like maybe unlock this thing for its more potential. You have in the recent list, and the search function is also possible. And that's the reason why I personally really love it. Alright, so there was also the settings, and yeah, settings is almost impossible to basically reach because it's underneath here. But there we're going to get the hole at the back, because you can stick your hand in it. Okay, so here we're going to get some information regarding the machine itself. The way how you can exit, for example, you can do a lot of modifications and even having entered the game market, hate it. Then we're going to get image optimization, this is off. We're going to get HD and we're going to get scan line, but there is no, let's say, change here, so that we don't have any aspect ratio options over here. But if you want to have an aspect ratio 4:3, we do have the option to squeeze it back into this with, of course, the menu over here. I think it's pretty damn handy that you can just change it out in here. Here you can choose all kinds of information. You can even adjust the brightness if you don't like that. As you can see over here, it runs on 1280 by 720 60 Hertz. But I'm going to, for this part, I just want to put it basically on 6:9 aspect ratio and just go that way. And go the way back in. Yep, click on here. and put it back. Here are some different options for optimizing the widescreen, and that's it. Auto, you can just go out of it, and that's it.
When you're looking at the arcade Iyo Gaming, I think it's a very cool concept, and I understand that you can just ship it out this way fairly easy. But unfortunate, if you're going to get yourself on Bartop, it's just going to be way too expensive when it comes to the shipping. But it doesn't matter, I just wanted to check it out here on the channel. I think it's a very cool solution. I want to thank you all for watching, consider subscribing, hit the little bell, and if you have any questions, let me know in the comments.